Welcome back to Talk English Now. It's Maya here, and I just want to start today with a simple reminder. You don't have to be perfect to speak English, not even close.
So true. And I'm Aiden, glad to be here with you again. Today we're diving into something really close to our hearts, mistakes. Why they're not just okay, but actually essential if you want to grow in English.
Yep. If you've been avoiding speaking because you're scared of messing up, guess what? You've been avoiding the one thing that actually helps you get better.
That's the wild part, right? We're taught to avoid mistakes, hide them, fix them quickly. But in language learning, mistakes are your best teacher.
And yet, we've all felt that sting. You say something wrong and you feel embarrassed. Maybe someone laughs. Maybe they correct you. And suddenly, you want to disappear.
Yeah, or never speak again. But here's the truth. That mistake you made, that awkward moment, it's actually progress.
So many of our listeners are sitting on ideas, stories, opinions, but staying silent. All because they're afraid of sounding wrong.
But today, we're flipping that. We want you to speak without fear. Because when you mess up, you're moving forward. You're learning. You're living the language.
Okay, story time. This happened just last week. I was helping a student from South Korea who was practicing her job interview answers. She said, I have much experience in managing peoples. I smiled and said, do you mean people or teams? And she laughed, kind of embarrassed. But then she said, now I will never forget. People, not peoples. One small mistake, one tiny moment of awkwardness, and boom, lesson learned forever.
That's the magic. The mistake became a memory, and the memory became a lesson.
And I think that's the shift people need. Instead of feeling ashamed of mistakes, treat them like golden learning opportunities.
There's a reason kids learn so fast. They don't care about sounding perfect. They just try, get it wrong, laugh, and keep going.
They don't sit there thinking, did I conjugate that correctly? They just say what they're thinking and learn from the reaction.
That freedom, we all need it, even as adults.
Especially as adults, because adult learners carry so much fear. Fear of sounding uneducated, fear of being judged,
fear of looking foolish. And let's be honest, that fear is heavy. It stops people from trying.
But here's what we want you to hear today. Your mistakes do not make you foolish. They make you brave.
Say that again, please.
Your mistakes don't make you foolish. They make you brave.
That's powerful. And it's true. Think about it. If you speak up even when you're unsure, you're doing something 99% of people avoid.
Yes. Most people wait and wait and wait, telling themselves, I'll speak when I'm better. But better doesn't come from waiting. It comes from trying.
Mistakes show you what to work on. They reveal gaps, but they also show you're doing the work.
I remember one of my first times speaking French in public. I wanted to say I'm excited, but I accidentally used a word that meant, let's just say, something completely inappropriate. Laughs.
Oh no. Classic language fail.
Total fail. The person looked shocked. I turned red. But guess what? I never made that mistake again. And it became one of my favorite stories to tell.
And now you help others because you made that mistake. That's the beauty of it.
Exactly. Mistakes make us better teachers, better learners, better humans.
So maybe the question isn't, how do I avoid mistakes? Maybe it's, how can I learn from them faster?
Yes, because once you stop fearing mistakes, your whole mindset changes. You become curious, open, confident.
And that's the moment when real fluency begins, not when you're perfect, but when you're fearless.
We know fear is natural. That hesitation before speaking, totally normal. But today, we want to replace that fear with something else. Permission.
Permission to be imperfect. Permission to speak anyway.
Permission to say, I don't know if this is right, but I'm going to try.
Because that's the only way we grow.
And speaking of growth, we've got our favorite person in the room today. You know her, you love her, our expert guest and language coach, Sophie Lane.
Sophie's helped hundreds of learners push through fear and unlock their voice. She's got that gift for making mistakes feel like part of the fun.
And she's going to help us really break this down. why mistakes matter, how they actually rewire your brain, and how you can train yourself to welcome them instead of fear them.
Get comfy, take a breath, and let's really explore why your mistakes might be the best thing you're doing right now.
Thanks, Maya. Thanks, Aiden. I've been nodding along this whole time. Because honestly, this is the conversation so many learners need to hear, but rarely do.
Right? It's like no one wants to talk about mistakes. Everyone's trying to act like they've got it all together. But in language learning, messy is normal.
Exactly. And here's what I always remind my students. The fastest progress usually looks the messiest. When you're really growing, it doesn't feel polished. It feels uncomfortable, uncertain, and full of little stumbles.
That's so true. Like, we think learning should feel smooth, but sometimes it feels like tripping over your own words every 5 seconds.
That's actually your brain doing its job. Think about it like this. When you make a mistake, your brain goes, wait a second, that didn't go how I expected. And then it creates a stronger connection to help you fix it next time.
So mistakes are like mental highlighters?
Exactly. They highlight what needs attention. And because they often come with emotion, like embarrassment or surprise, your brain remembers them better.
That's wild. I never thought of it that way.
And it's not just theory. There's actual research behind it. The testing effect in psychology shows that we remember things more when we get them wrong and then correct them.
That makes so much sense. It's like touching a hot stove. You only do it once.
Yes, but without the burn. In language learning, that awkward oops moment creates a little spark in your memory. So next time, your brain knows what to do.
That's oddly comforting. Like, all the cringy moments I've had in Spanish were actually useful.
Very useful. Those moments taught your brain what the textbook couldn't. Because let's face it, grammar rules fade. But that moment you mixed up embarazada and thought you were saying embarrassed when you actually said pregnant. Yeah, you remember that.
Too real. And so many of us have stories like that.
And that's what I try to tell every learner who feels discouraged. Those aren't failures. Those are breakthroughs in disguise.
So how do we get people to stop fearing those breakthroughs? Like, how do we train ourselves to not freak out when we mess up?
The first step is shifting the goal. Most learners aim for speaking perfectly. That's exhausting. It's unreachable. So instead, I say, make your goal communicating clearly, even if it's messy.
That's good. That takes the pressure off immediately.
Yes, because once you stop aiming for perfect grammar and start aiming for connection, you realize something. You don't need a perfect sentence to make a powerful point.
Wow. Say that again.
You don't need a perfect sentence to make a powerful point. Think about how often people speak in fragments, gestures, facial expressions, even in their native language.
So true. We interrupt ourselves, repeat things, say on, and it's all still communication.
Exactly. So if a learner says, yesterday I go office, boss not come, I wait 1 hour, I get the message. That's success. That's a win.
But our brains say, that's wrong. Bad grammar? Fix it first.
And that's the second thing to work on, your inner critic. Most of us have a voice that says, you are embarrassing yourself. They think you sound stupid.
Oh yeah, that voice is loud sometimes.
But here's a trick. Give that voice a name. Call it Grammar Gary or Perfect Paula or something silly. When it shows up, say, thanks, Gary. I've got this.
I love that. Not now, Gary. I'm trying to grow.
Exactly. Because it's not about silencing that voice, it's about reducing its power. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be understood. And that's more than enough.
That small mindset shift is everything. It changes how you see the entire learning process.
It really does. And here's another thing I always ask my students. If your best friend made a grammar mistake while learning your language, would you laugh at them? Of course not. You'd be supportive. So why not treat yourself the same way?
We're so much kinder to other people than we are to ourselves.
But real fluency comes from kindness. Not just kindness to others, but to yourself. You need to feel safe to try, safe to fall, Safe to laugh and say, oops, I'll try again.
And that safe space doesn't start in a classroom. It starts inside your own mind.
Yes. The moment you stop punishing yourself for errors and start welcoming them, your English transforms. It becomes playful, curious, human.
That makes me want to go mess up on purpose. Like, just say something weird in French and giggle at myself.
Do it! Because that's how you break the fear loop. You stop waiting to be perfect. You stop holding your breath.
So to anyone listening right now, what's one small thing they can do today to practice this mindset?
Speak out loud about your day in English, even just for 2 minutes. And every time you stumble, smile and keep going. Don't correct yourself. Don't stop. Just flow.
Let it be messy.
Let it be you. And then say to yourself, that was brave. Because it was.
Okay, can we just take a moment and thank Sophie for turning the idea of a mistake into something beautiful?
Seriously. You've made it feel safe, even exciting.
It should be exciting. Mistakes mean you're in motion. And motion is where all the magic happens.
Sophie, you've honestly reframed this whole idea of making mistakes. I feel like even I want to go mess something up now just to celebrate it.
Same. And that's such a shift, right? Most of us grew up thinking mistakes were bad. In school, mistakes meant red ink, lower marks, disappointment.
Exactly. That's where it starts. We were trained to believe mistakes equal failure. But in language learning, it's the total opposite. Mistakes equal movement. They show that you're not just memorizing, you're interacting. You're using the language.
It's like proof that you're alive inside the process, not just sitting on the sidelines watching.
Yes, that's the kind of learner I want to work with. Not the one who sits silently and gets every grammar quiz right, but the one who says, I'm not sure if this is right, but I'm going to try anyway.
I love that. That's real learning. It's raw, it's real, and yeah, it's brave.
And you know what's amazing? Once people start viewing mistakes differently, they start speaking more. That's always the first thing I notice. They don't wait as long. They don't apologize before every sentence. They lean in.
And that's how fluency is built. Not from silence, but from sound, from trying.
So true. And honestly, I think people also forget native speakers make mistakes all the time. We speak in broken grammar. We mix up words.
All the time. We interrupt ourselves. We change sentences midway. We use the wrong word and don't even notice.
Yeah, I literally said he don't like it the other day in a conversation. Totally wrong grammatically, but it came out naturally. And nobody cared.
Exactly. Because communication isn't about being flawless. It's about being understood. And if someone gets what you're trying to say, you succeeded, even if the grammar wasn't perfect.
That's the test. Did they understand you? If yes, you passed.
I wish every learner had that on their wall. Did they understand me? Then I did great.
And I think we need to normalize small errors. Like, don't make them such a big deal in your own mind. So what if you say, I am go yesterday instead of I went? You just communicated. That's a win.
And honestly, sometimes it's even charming. There's something really human and sweet about someone who's trying, even if they're not polished. Wow. Say that again?
Absolutely. There's a warmth and effort. I've heard learners say the most beautiful, heartfelt things in broken grammar, and it's moved me more than perfect textbook sentences ever could.
It's about the message, not the mechanics.
Yes, that's what language is for. It's not a puzzle to solve. It's a bridge to someone else.
I'm picturing a student, maybe listening to this right now, who's been waiting for the right moment to start speaking. Maybe they've been silently practicing, writing, thinking, but not talking. What would you say to them?
I'd say this: the right moment isn't coming. It's not on some calendar. It's not next year. The right moment is the one you create by speaking today, right now, as you are, with the English you have.
Yes. Use the words you know. Make the sentences you can. That's enough.
And every time you do, you build something, a stronger voice, a little more courage, a better ear. It all adds up. You don't need giant leaps, just small, brave steps.
And you don't need anyone's permission either. You are ready. Not for perfect speaking, but for real connection.
And the people who matter? They'll listen with kindness. They'll be patient. They'll appreciate the effort.
They will. And the ones who don't? Honestly, they're not your people.
Yes, because someone who mocks your mistakes doesn't deserve your words.
That's a good line. Find people who celebrate your progress, who smile when you try, who help you fix a mistake without shame. Those are the people who make you better.
And we can be those people too. All of us listening, whether we're teachers, learners, or both, we can make English a safe space. A space where people try, fall, laugh, and grow.
Let's all be mistake-friendly humans. Let's normalize trying out loud.
Trying out loud. I love that. Not trying perfectly. Not trying in silence. Trying out loud. That's how growth sounds.
So what's one thing our listeners can do right after this episode to start trying out loud?
Great question. I'd say record a 30-second message to yourself. Say how your day was. Don't plan it. Don't write it first. Just speak. No edits.
And then
Listen to it only once. Notice the words that worked. Smile at the ones that didn't. And then say, well done, me. I spoke.
That's beautiful. And doable. And real.
And it turns speaking from this very performance into a small act of courage.
That's it. One small, brave moment at a time. That's how you build the kind of English that lives in you. Not in your notes. Not in your textbooks. In you.
I love how that sounds. English that lives in you. Not something you perform, but something you own.
It's such a different feeling, right? When English stops being a subject you're learning and starts being a voice you trust.
That's the heart of fluency. Not perfection, but trust. Trust in your ability to be heard, even when your words aren't polished.
I think a lot of learners are carrying this invisible pressure to sound impressive, to avoid sounding like a beginner. And sometimes that pressure becomes so heavy, they just stay quiet.
I see that all the time. Learners who are ready, they know enough words, they understand so much, but they've convinced themselves they're not there yet. So they wait and wait. But here's the truth. You won't become confident first and then start speaking. You'll start speaking and confidence will come.
That's powerful. Because I think we all believe we need to feel ready before we act. But language doesn't work that way.
Nope. Confidence isn't the starting line. It's the result.
Exactly. And the good news? Every mistake brings you closer. Every stumble, every oops, every awkward pause, it's all shaping your fluency.
And if you can learn to laugh at those moments, oh wow, the fear just melts away.
Yes, the moment you laugh, it's like you reclaim your power. You're no longer trapped by the fear of what if I say it wrong.
You already did, and you survived. Now you're stronger, funnier, and probably more memorable because of it.
I had a student once who said, "Teacher, I'm very shy to speaking." And I said, "That's okay. You just spoke to me." He laughed and said, "Oh, I did." And from that day forward, he started talking more. The mistake didn't matter. The courage did.
Can we just put that on a t-shirt? The mistake didn't matter. The courage did.
I love that because it's the truth. No one remembers your grammar mistakes, but they do remember your kindness, your ideas, your effort.
So if you're listening right now and you've been carrying the fear of speaking, the fear of getting it wrong, we want you to take a breath.
Right now. Just a deep breath. In and out.
And maybe whisper to yourself, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to try.
And if your voice shakes, let it shake. If your grammar slips, let it slip. Because your message matters more than your mistakes.
And you know what else? You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to express yourself.
Say that again.
You don't need to impress. You just need to express.
That's fluency. Not a perfect sentence, but a true one.
So let's make a little promise right now. To everyone listening, promise us, and more importantly, yourself, that you won't let mistakes silence you anymore.
Promise to keep talking even when it's awkward.
Promise to smile when you mess up. To try again. To speak with courage, not fear.
Because you deserve to be heard.
You really do.
Your voice matters. Not the one you wish you had. The one you already have.
We believe in you. And we're so grateful that you shared this time with us today.
Yeah, thank you for spending this part of your day with us. It really means a lot.
And if something we said today made you feel seen or encouraged or just a little bit lighter, we'd love to hear from you.
Leave us a quick comment. Tell us how you're learning. Tell us what mistakes taught you. Or just say hi and tell us where you're listening from.
And if you enjoyed this episode, it really helps us when you subscribe to the podcast, like the episode, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this too.
We're building a community here, a safe, fun, human space for English learners all over the world. And you're part of it.
Your journey is yours, but you don't have to walk it alone.
We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, go speak, go make mistakes, and go grow.